Greetings. Welcome to day 28 to the 31 Days of Tarot Challenge 2019. I have to be honest, I sincerely was going to skip today's question because today's question is, what is your go-to tarot book and why? And if you saw my video in the past about my top five tarot books of 2018, you'll understand why. I really don't have tarot books. I don't really use tarot books. I have a few that I could not recommend. I got excited because I came across a book that I had in another cupboard. I thought, oh good, maybe this can be my favorite book. Maybe this can be my go-to book. It's called The Secrets of Tarot by Annie Leonette. It's sort of a cute little book. It's little. It says, it promises, discover the mystical symbolism believed to reveal the divine law of the universe. It's a kind of unique little book in that it's very simple and to the point, that it talks about selecting a deck, a lot of things, selecting a deck or tarot symbolism, the major minor arcana, in a very brief form. You're selecting a deck, different kinds of decks. It goes through the major arcana cards and talks generally about the meanings of the cards, sort of groups them in, according to meaning, which is kind of interesting, Then it goes into, when it gets into the minor arcana, it talks about, what the cards mean according to their number, according to, numerology, laws of numerology. So if it talks about threes, for instance, here's about threes. All about threes. It says 3 is the number of creativity, growth, action, energy, and enthusiasm. The Aquarian is now in a position to enjoy what has been achieved through the partnerships that were started with the 2s. Any problems that were encountered in the last phase are resolved, and the Aquarian can move ahead in a more expansive stage. 3 is an optimistic sign, except for the 3 of Swords, which can signify a disappointment. Okay, so that is pretty helpful if you want to read. That would be very helpful if you want to read a deck. And I do want to say, I should have said this in the past, but I did not. Knowledge of the numbers in the deck, what numbers stand for in numerology, is really an important prerequisite to reading the tarot. And I don't think I mentioned that before. So in that case, having a book such as this with that talks about the numbers is pretty it's pretty helpful. Okay, here's about the 10s, about the 10s being the number of completion, marks the end of a cycle, beginning of another. I think a lot of us who've been reading for a long time sort of take it for granted that if you're looking to learn to read the tarot, that you kind of know that, or you new readers maybe know that. So I should mention that I think that's important. So in that instance, this is a pretty good little book. It talks about whether you use a significator or not, how you formulate questions for reading. And then it has a good many, which I kind of like, spreads in the back of the book. And it goes into, here's for instance a 6-card reading. And they pull 6 cards out, and then they talk about what each card in that spread would mean. Okay, so that's pretty good. And I have to say, this one feature of the book, a good many spreads. It gives a lot of I like that because it gives a lot of emphasis on the spread itself. Remember, I've said a couple of times in the past that some people are really get really hung up, maybe too hung up on the meaning of a single card. Try to do a reading, each individual card standing for each individual thing. And you really need to, in my opinion, look at the entire spread to read the cards. That's how you know what kind of meaning to associate with each card. So in that case, this is really a good book. It would not still be my to-go tarot book, though. I'm sorry if that disappoints you. It's not a bad book. It's not a bad book, and it's another thing. It's I'm sure it was a very inexpensive book. By the fact that it's such a small little book. I don't know where I got it. I think maybe it was a gift or part of a basket or something. But anyway, what I want to say about it is, if I wanted to tell you what my favorite go-to tarot book is, really, I would have to say my favorite tarot book is YouTube. YouTube is not, of course, a book. But think about the uses of a book. What are you going to learn from a book? It's very handy to have a book in your pocket where you can pull out or on your shelf at any time. If you have a question, you could go and look it up in a book. So that's really cool. But I got a book in my pocket right here. I got a book in my pocket right here with my my phone or with your computer. And I really want to say I am a go-to book person. I like a book with pages and paper and titles, and I have shelves and shelves of books. I don't normally read books, and I don't ever read books on Kindle. That's not my style. But for something like tarot, which is such a complex subject, I think it's really important to develop a relationship, even though it is one that maybe is a one-sided relationship, with people that have channels on tarot here on YouTube. I have learned so much from other people watching about different subjects. For one, I have out here something that I did not know about before YouTube existed and before the channels existed, and I don't recall seeing in a book anywhere. It was about how to read the Lenormand system, the Lenormand cards. And I learned from watching, and I just wanted to look up and see who I did learn from, because I really didn't watch many channels on the subject. It's called Tarot Tribe Beyond. I think it's called Tarot Tribe Beyond Worlds. Tarot Tribe Beyond Worlds. And I believe her name is Donna Lay. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But you can Google it and she comes up. And there's a lot of other people who teach, Lenormand. She's very easy to follow, very straightforward, has a lot of different subjects, a lot of different videos on the subject, and they're very clear. I'm a very big fan of learning from YouTube. A little side note, I talked about the SB being in the SCA and doing a lot of arts in the SCA, and one of the arts that I was desperate to learn was how to do null bending, which is the ancient art of art of what we would call knitting. It is like, it predates knitting, but it is, it's an ancient art of how you fashion hats, socks, mittens, etc. out of spun wool fiber. And we do it a lot in the SCA because it's, something that we were encouraged to learn if we want to have knit socks or things. I mean, there is knitting, but null bending is quite popular, and it's used as a bone needle, and it's more like a combination of sewing with the making stitches by sort of sewing these fantastic stitches. That every village perhaps had their own kind of sewing and null bending stitch that for different purposes, depending on what you want to do, you might want to try different stitches. For, if you wanted something really heavy and thick or something softer or whatever. Anyway, I don't know, my friend and I took a dozen classes. I swear we took classes and classes from different people and tried so hard to learn, people who did a really good job nail bending. And we usually learn well from classes. We could not. Finally learned from a YouTube channel from a woman who did not even speak English. She was speaking, I think, Norwegian or something. I can't remember. But I didn't understand a word that she said, but I learned very easily from her because of the angle that she had, her camera, whatever. It was perfect. Since then, my husband and I have learned so many things to do with the house, to do with the gardening, to do with food preservation, of course, from YouTube. The secret to using YouTube as a reference is you have to look really hard. You have to look hard. If you want to learn to read, for instance, Lenormand, you could do a search for Lenormand in YouTube, but watch a couple of videos. Watch 2 or 3 videos from different people, and pretty soon you're going to know who's on the level and who's not. You're going to know pretty quickly who really knows their stuff and who doesn't really know their stuff. Okay, we need to approach that way with tarot, and I love to do that. And my original thought for this question was to use this as a kind of a shout out, like I just did with Tarot Tribes Between Worlds with Donna Lay about her Lenormand. I wanted to do the same with video, and with other phases of tarot, and I could say if I wanted to recommend somebody to let's say learn how to read the court cards, there maybe is a couple of people that I might recommend, including probably myself, because I think I'm finally cracking the court cards, and I have a video myself on showing one way to do it. So I might do that. I might do, if I wanted to know about a certain deck, for sure, how to pick a deck. If I was uncertain of picking a deck, I would put the deck in the search, and I would, a whole bunch of people would come up. One of the people I would absolutely believe about a certain deck would be a review from Simon at Hermit's Cave, or maybe from, I think about Jennifer Ball. I love Jennifer Ball because Jennifer Ball's going to really tell you like it is. If there's something about the deck she doesn't like, she's really going to tell you. And it doesn't mean that I won't like that about the deck, but it gives me it's at least an honest appraisal of what she's talking about with the deck. Okay. If I want to talk about spreads, different kinds of spreads, or different kind of decks, the point of view of different kinds of decks, which is something I talk about all the time, that each deck reads differently, and that you really can't apply the exact same meaning to every card in a deck, in any kind of a deck. Like you can't, the 5 of Swords does not mean the same thing in every deck that we buy. So, because each deck has a little bit of a twist to it. Somebody that I'd really want to know about would maybe tell me something really interesting about different kinds of decks would be maybe Kelly at The Truth and Story. So I could choose shout outs and name people, but I want to say that wouldn't be doing it justice, because I think we really, really need to learn to scrutinize different people and what they're offering us. I think everybody has something to offer, but not any one person has everything to offer. And that's why I think we should be treated as, the world's largest encyclopedia on tarot. Like all of how many viewers, how many stations, channels do we have here on YouTube that are people that claim to be tarot readers, claim that they know something about reading tarot. I think you really need to branch out and really need to look for people's different kind of channels to get different points of view, because really, I think that's the best way of learning. It's a quicker way of learning than I learned, because when I learned, I didn't really know other tarot readers. So I was depending mostly on myself for a lot of years and my own experiences to learn how to read tarot. And I'm telling you, I learned to a certain extent. Got so far in my learning, but it really blossomed. My mind opened up as soon as I learned so much more as soon as I could compare. And by the way, I'm still learning by watching other channels here on YouTube. don't underestimate that. I know that is such a simplistic answer, but really do not underestimate the knowledge that is here on Facebook. Okay? But I'm saying again, be careful. Because just because somebody has a lot of tarot decks doesn't mean that they're that good at being a tarot reader, at teaching tarot reading particularly. You know, it's sort of two different things, skill set for two different things. It's not that they can't be a good reader. They very well may be wonderful readers, you know. Truth and Story, Kelly at Truth and Story has, you know, hundreds of decks, I believe, but she's, you know, you can tell really quickly that she knows her stuff just by watching some of her videos. Okay, so that's what I was saying to you. But Kelly, but I'm saying she's not the end all to everything, and she would be the first to tell you she's not the end all, the answer to everything you want to know about tarot. You want to read other channels. You want to look at other people's perspectives and learn as much as you can from other people. Okay, that's the best way to do it. Even gardeners who are trying to grow tomatoes, we listen to more than one person for advice, right? And you know, so. Same applies here to tarot. Anyway, this should have been the shortest video yet, but I just wanted to be sure to do it. I didn't want to skip one. I got so close. We're going 31 days, and I have not skipped one yet. Now I only have, 3 left? 3 left. Thank you for watching. I'm Rebecca, and I wish you blessings.